Hi, I asked you to ask me anything about anything. So let's begin because I got loads of great questions from you. So my first one is, what set you on this amazing journey of wanting to help people become the best form of themselves? And this is from Bob in Lincolnshire. Thank you, Bob. When I started this journey, which was 10 years ago, I'm going because I was not in a good place at all. I was signed off work with anxiety and depression. My daughter was about 18 months old, I think. I'd returned to work, had a disastrous return to work, awful. Suffering from both, well, they said it was depression, it was more anxiety based, but I was put on the medication for it and didn't know what to do next. I knew I had a massive mortgage, I had a young baby, I had a relationship, I had all of that, and I didn't know what I was going to do next. And I had a chance meeting with a coach in a park who was also a former BBC producer. That's my former life. I was a producer at the BBC. And she told me about coaching. And I was like, yeah, it sounds interesting. And I started looking. So I started researching into what I could do next. And in that time, up popped voluntary redundancies at the BBC. So I just knew I couldn't do that. I knew that wasn't working for me and how I wanted to bring up my daughter and what it was doing to me. So I took that and I researched. So at one point I was researching, looking into becoming a teacher. I really, really wanted to become a psychotherapist, but couldn't do however many years training, I had a mortgage to pay, all of that. So it was all pretty bad. And then I met this BBC producer turned coach in a park, and she told me about coaching. Sounded interesting, did a bit of research, went on a couple of introductory courses. It was like, didn't blow me away. But the moment that happened for me, so what set me on this was this. So I had a coaching session with my now dear friend Judy Rich, and in that session she took me from a place of feeling desperate, hopeless, really feeling there was no way out for me, extremely stuck in everything that was going on in my life. And within that 45-minute phone call of a coaching session, she got me to another place. She completely shifted me to a place where I felt there was hope, where I could see a possible future, where I felt more resourceful, I felt calmer, I did not feel anywhere near as desperate, and it really was like, wow. So I was massively impacted in that session, but also I thought, wow, this is absolute gold. This is what I want to do for others too. So that was the actual moment. And this question is from Jessica in Holland. What's your take about balance in life? Is that possible or a strange, dull thing to strive for? I'm an adventurous girl and balance feels odd. I love that, Jessica. Thank you. I'm an adventurous girl too. Yeah, let me just read that again. What's your take about balance? Is it possible or a strange, dull thing to strive for? I think there's absolutely nothing dull or strange about seeking balance. And for me, balance equals a sense of inner peace, calm, and then from that place you can be adventurous and go and do all these fabulous things. I think, Jessica, you can hold both. That's what I actually think. I don't think it's dull, and I think you can hold both in your life. So have the balance, and whatever that means for you. For me, that's peace, calm, slowing down, time to think, time to enjoy life. You can have all of that, and then from that place go out and be adventurous and do wild things and exciting things. You can do it all. So yes, Jessica, absolutely. And I know how difficult it is to do this bit and get to this bit. If you've lived your life in the adventurous, the excitement and all of that, you can actually be quite addicted to that. Neuroscientists call when we have to have something, we have to do it all the time, an emotional addiction. And I do speak from personal experience of this. I definitely was living my life before coaching on this, on adrenaline and excitement and adventure and all of that. So I know how enticing and exciting that is. But man, it's so much more rewarding when you've got this bit as well, when you've got the balance, the calm, the peace, the recovery, the rest, the time to enjoy the simple, slow things in life as well. So that's what I would say. Go for it. And I know it's hard work, but I'm sure you can do hard work. Let me know if that's helpful or you want any help with that. Thanks, Jessica. On to my next one. So this is from Nairy in London. What helps overwhelmed CEOs make decisions? So I do work with a lot of CEOs, and I would say the number one reason they're finding it difficult to make decisions is that they're not allowing allocated visioning, thinking time every single week. So in order for our brains to work effectively, and I'm going like this because this is the prefrontal cortex. Now this is the part of the brain that is involved in decision making. Now, unless we give it space, it's not going to work effectively. So unless we give it space, it's not going to be able to make decisions in a non-stressful environment. And stress really does, when you get stressed, the prefrontal cortex actually gets flooded with a stress hormone called norepinephrine, and that stops you being able to make any good decisions. So actually I'd say creating that space, that thinking time, at least absolute minimum of 2 hours a week, but most people I work with, I get them to half a day a week. So really making sure they've got that time to think creatively. Nothing, no phones, no emails, nothing. Dedicated visioning, thinking time. What has been your greatest challenge during the past 10 years? And this is from Trudy in London. God, I would say, Trudy, the biggest challenge for me is to not be doing, working, grinding myself into the floor all of the time. And this has been such a challenge because I've become my own boss. I used to do this when I worked at the BBC, but actually there they loved it, of course, and you had to go on holidays. The most difficult thing is when you are your own boss and there's no one else telling you you need to slow down or you need to stop or you need to take a rest. So this has been the biggest piece of work I've done over the past 10 years, is to actually rest, pause, do all the self-care stuff that I talk about with my clients and I talk about on my videos. So really learn to take care of my mind, body and spirit. Really put my oxygen mask on first before I help others. And one more. Oh, this is a good one. This is from Benedict in Lincolnshire. This is from my boyfriend. He says, what part of your work do you find the hardest to accept, and what is your coping mechanism for this? The hardest to accept. I don't know if it's hard to accept, but it pains me when I see a client really doing themselves a lot of harm. I don't mean self-harm, although I have actually had a client who that was an experience for as well. But when someone is really making their life really difficult, causing them a lot of pain, it's causing them physical, ill health, it's causing them bad mental health, it's making them literally anxious, literally stressed, literally ill. That's what I find really challenging. And by doing the work that we do, I know I can help them get out of it. But when I see a client in pain, in stuff, and I'm put my stuff on the back burner during it, and I hold them in it. And I have to hold on to knowing that they are creative, resourceful and whole, and through the work that we do, they do shift that. They do, because you always have a choice. This is the thing, you can always change it, and I absolutely believe that. So knowing that and really holding them in it. But yeah, it's when being with someone who's in pain, I don't know if it's that it's hard to accept, but I feel that pain as well. I feel it too, absolutely. How could I not? Even though I'm holding that, it's called holding the space, the safe container for them, absolutely. afterwards is when I allow that to come out. And the way I cope with that is I make sure I look after myself, so I don't just rush from one session to another. I take time out, I allow whatever feelings I've got to run through me. I literally get up and go and have a walk in the garden if it's a Skype session here, or if it's in town or in a company. I make sure I go and walk that through my body. That's a really great way for me to be with difficult things. And I have a supervisor and I have a coach. So I take any issues that I'm dealing with my clients to them, and I work through and process my own stuff, and then actually that adds to me being able then to hold my clients even further in whatever they're dealing with. So yeah, thanks for that question. So that's it, that's my first Ask Me Anything, and if you have any more questions, please let me know in the comment box below. Thanks for watching, bye.